voters take your mark, you can now vote at your convenience with early voting. We have all the details from the town clerk just ahead.
Plus, get all your highlights from the latest town meetings. We cover Planning Board and the Board of Library Trustees. Also coming up, we take a look at all the events happening in town. From library to church events, you're guaranteed a good time.
Those stories and much more ahead on ELCAT News Update. Thanks for tuning in to ELCAT News Update. I'm Rebecca Green.
And I'm Courtney Ingalls. We begin the show with an announcement for voters. No more waiting in line on Election Day. Cast your ballots beforehand with early voting. Massachusetts adopted the early voting law in 2014, and now voters are able to take advantage of this convenient program. For those registered voters who are not able to make it to the polls on Election Day due to work or other reasons, early voting will allow them to cast their ballots on their time. Early voting will be held during an 11-day period at the Town Hall from October 24th to November 4th during normal business hours. The Town Hall will also extend their hours on Thursday, October 27th until 8 p.m., and then on Saturday, October 29th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Town Clerk Tom Florence walks us through the process.
You'll go right into the town manager's hearing room and go up to the check-in table. And unlike absentee ballot voting, you don't need to fill out an application if you come in person. They'll check you off the voters list. They'll check you as an EV or early voter. And we'll go enter your name into the system so there's no chance of any duplication of voting the day of the election. If you decide to show up again the day of the election, that will not work because you were already in the system as already haven't voted. So you grab your ballot. You do have to fill out an early voting envelope and sign it as an affidavit. And after you vote, you fold your ballot up, you put it in the envelope, we seal it in a locked safe, and it is fed through the tabulator the day of the election around November 8th. And again, for those 11 days, during those hours, we'll have a check-in, check-out table, and we'll have it properly staffed. And again, it'll be like 11 mini elections.
Florence talks statistics when it comes to predicting early voting turnout.
Try to get some historical information from the state elections office, and they say anywhere from 10 to 15% is a possibility. So right now we have approximately 11,000 registered voters, so that would be anywhere, I'm guessing, between 1,000 and maybe 1,400 people may take advantage of that. Again, it's the fear of the unknown. It's new. We just don't know how it's going to go. It's the first time. But those are the numbers that they had thrown out. So over an 11-day period, it averages maybe 1 to 100 to 150 people per day. However, we do know people work. So the extended hours on that Thursday night and on that Saturday may help, with your convenience, of the voter to have more people come out those days.
For those who wish to vote on Election Day, there are some changes to improve parking and voters' overall experience.
We're going to open the back entrance because school will not be in session. So you can enter the front like we always do. However, there is extra parking spots in the back. So the back door will be open also because, the teachers will not be parked. All the parking spots around the school will all be for the voters on that day of the election. So we're trying to do all we can to help the flow and any congestion that may happen. And again, we're asking that you do enter via Elmcrest and exit via Handward Hill. When you do exit, people will not be allowed to park on the Handward Hill entrance, as well as Handward Hill itself. On the side of the residents' houses, there are going to be no parking signs.
Make sure to get out and vote. Again, early voting takes place between October 24th through November 4th. Election Day is November 8th at Birchland Park Middle School from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Questions concerning voting may be directed to the Town Hall at 413-525-5400, extension 1000.
Switching to town meetings, we take a look at the latest planning board meeting held on October 18th. With the trend of local breweries growing in our area, the planning board reviews what actions they would need to take for breweries to be and allow use. The discussion began back in September when Town Council member Donald Anderson was approached by a business owner who asked if it was possible to start a brewery here in town.
This area is becoming if you would, the brewery or microbrew equivalent of California. I mean, they have tours up in Vermont, they have all this kind of stuff. It's certainly something we have to be mindful of, because, you know, we can try to keep having our industrial park manufacturing, trying to make widgets, but perhaps the widget companies are few and far between. But if we have a bylaw that we control as a town, as opposed to an outsider coming in and says, here's the bylaw we want for you, as opposed to one that works for us. So if we allowed a brew pub, it would not only be in a particular zone, it would require a special permit. So there's that extra step involved. Or if we want to have a microbrewery or a brewery, that would have to be in the industrial or industrial garden zone. These are things to be discussed, but at least the town will have control.
What Mr. Anderson was referring to was to combine it with a restaurant, which we allow in town, and that they're allowed to make their own to sell on the premises. That's what it sounded like to me.
But they're allowed to do the light manufacturing in the restaurant, is what and that's where it would take a zoning change, because only light manufacturing is allowed in the industrial garden district and in the industrial district. So you could open a brewery down there now, you just can't, like Deb just said, you just can't serve it.
Yeah.
They want to be able to do this and serve it.
I mean, my concern would be not so much having a brew pub, because I've been to a lot of them and they're quite good.
Yeah.
But to have them in a zone where they could be up against a residential property, because they smell like breweries. I mean, seriously, you know,
Yeah.
you do get some emissions from them.
Well, and if you're going to allow it in one restaurant, you're going to have to allow it in all the other ones. So.
And your
only
manufacturing
if
hours are
they're,
different.
only if they're
too.
in the industrial zone.
I mean, on our own free time that we should think about and consider, and I think something like this will be coming forwards.
Well,
So-
that's why I would really like you, as a board, to look into it because of your experience with
Yep.
zoning. Because if we have the council creating the bylaws, it's going to be totally different, and they can do that because they're the ones that are going to be able to make the changes. So Don is looking at the board to advise.
I just think it's something that we
Something
should
at a
keep
time.
on our plate, and, you know, every couple of meetings, bring it up and see where we are with it.
The next town meeting we review is the Board of Library Trustees.
The board is still in search for a new library director. After a final candidate opted out, the board is back at square one.
We did have 11 applicants that applied, and everybody, we got together at a meeting and obtained all 11 applications, and then we went home to read them over and get our individual ideas as to, you know, how to whittle down the 11 to who we thought was the best of the best. We narrowed it down to 4 candidates for the preliminary interviews.
Sharon has worked very hard to get all of the interviews scheduled for next week. Basically, everyone's going to be, to the extent possible, interviewed at the same time, under the same criteria. And so that will happen, and then we'll be prepared to report back. And obviously, the full board, all of the trustees will make the final recommendation to the town manager.
Next, the board celebrates National Friends of the Library Week. The library, along with community members, are saying thanks to pay tribute to all of the Friends' hard work.
This week is the National Friends of the Library Week, and the intentions of the group was to place in various places throughout the library, like items that the Friends purchased in order to supplement this library and make it welcoming to people of all ages. And so if you see little pink cards throughout as you're walking around the library, it's just to let members know as well as patrons know. And this is where the money goes. The money goes right back into the library.
Lastly, Acting Library Director Sharon Bellanoy reviews what resources residents can use to get started with ebooks. For those who don't know, an ebook is an electronic version of a printed book that can be read on any device.
So twice a month, Lindsay and I do a digital discussions drop-in program where people come and they, at certain times, we advertise it, and we'll help them with whatever device they have. Typically, it's about ebooks or downloading e-audio books, but sometimes they want to know how to, sign up for Facebook or, how to get started with their new device. But 90% of the time, it's how to get started using ebooks. And then people come to the desk all the time. Massachusetts residents have the ability to get an e-card, an e-library card from the Boston Public Library. You get it through email. Once you get that, you can then go into the Boston Public Library Overdrive catalog, which is probably 3 times as big as ours. So you have lots of options. So sometimes the second book of a series might be checked out in our Overdrive catalog.
Yeah.
You can go to Boston Public Library.
That's the
get it
frustrating
there.
part.
In safety news, ELCAT covered the fire department's annual open house. Residents got a hands-on experience learning about safety. Children enjoyed getting an inside look of the fire truck's interior, along with a bounce house, demonstrations, and more. Residents also experienced the SAFE truck. SAFE stands for Students' Awareness of Fire Education. The mobile unit is brought to schools to educate all grades on the dangers of fire and hazardous tobacco products. A beautiful day for an open house, with pizza, good company, and of course, valuable education.
In more safety news, we talk with School Superintendent Gordon Smith, who provides an update on the recent water testings in schools.
The DPW tests school water every 3 years. Back in May, Governor Baker announced a program that schools could apply for to receive assistance in doing more comprehensive testing for lead and copper in school water. We take a look back at the May 23rd school committee meeting where DPW Superintendent Robert Parent explains.
Lead and copper doesn't originate in the water supply. The issue, if you have an issue, is not the water supply. It's typically in older cities and some of the old lead service lines. We are not an old city. We don't have any lead service lines. So if we had any issues, it would typically be in the fixtures themselves. So the outcome of this testing might identify some fixtures that need to be replaced to eliminate any potential risks or concerns about lead or copper.
Tests have been conducted and Superintendent Gordon Smith walks us through the process and shares the final results.
We were alerted in the summer that we were selected to participate, which is great. So in August, we had in this room actually a training with the folks from UMass. I was there, all our principals were there, our head custodians were there, and members of the Department of Public Works were also there. And we got a sort of an overview of the entire state-assisted water testing program. Our range was a low, somewhere around 40 water taps tested in a building, to a high of 74 water taps tested in a building. Overall, our results were very positive. Given the amount of water taps we tested, given the fact that our buildings are built anywhere from 1956 to the most recent being Birchland Park Middle School in 2000. We were really excited that in each of the buildings we had anywhere from 4 water taps where action was required to a low of 1 water tap. That was at Birchland Park Middle School. The areas that came back requiring action for the level of lead were really areas that were not used regularly. And so one, they were never used for drinking. All our water coolers that are where our students drink water from are, all of them got nowhere near action level. So that was great to see.
Smith explains exactly what the action level is. The water taps that were above action level were acted upon immediately.
So they're looking at a required action level at 0.015 milligrams per liter. That's parts per million. So Wednesday we shut down any taps that rose to that action level. On Wednesday morning, I also met with our Department of Public Works plumber, and we just reviewed the results. We made sure that we were in agreement as to, okay, pinpointing where every single water tap was, what we were planning to do. Thursday and Friday, I had discussions with the superintendent of the Department of Public Works and the facilities manager from the Department of Public Works. We put together a formal plan for repairs. The repairs actually began this week, and we hope to have all the repairs accomplished by October 28th.
After final repair plans were set, an automated call was set out to all families and staff members. A letter will also be sent out this week. For those with questions, you may contact the superintendent's office at 413-525-5450.
Switching to events, 2 local churches in town are hosting programs for the community. First, the New Life Church on Westwood Ave welcomes all to their annual Trunk or Treat special event. Get your Halloween costumes out early and join in on the fun. Trunk or Treat is an alternative way to trick or treat. The evening involves decorated cars and trucks in the church's parking lot for children and parents in costumes to collect treats from trunk to trunk. The event will also include games, prizes, and a photo booth. The church is partnering with Pioneer Valley Christians Academy to provide this free event for the public. Don't miss out on a fun-filled event at the New Life Church on Saturday, October 29th at 6 p.m. Next, the Cornerstone Church on Kibbe Road is hosting a Woman of the Word Uplifting Conference. This is for women who are experiencing any life issues and would like some inspirational help. Women of the Word is a nonprofit organization focused on teaching women biblical principles and applying them to their daily life. The program takes place on November 4th at 7:30 p.m. at the Cornerstone Church on Kibbe Road.
We have even more town events in store. The library welcomes Chef Ray for a seasonal cooking demonstration.
On this segment of Library Learning, we fill you in on upcoming events and let you know how you can get involved. This week, residents are in for a treat. Chef Ray will teach participants how to make butternut squash soup and pear bisque. The best part, samplings will be offered. Learn cooking tips and techniques on how to be a pro in the kitchen. The program takes place on Saturday, November 5th at 11:30 a.m. Space is limited, so make sure to register online or in person at the circulation desk.
Next, the Friends of the Library are bringing back the popular page-a-day calendars. The Friends of the Library is a group of dedicated individuals that support the library through educating the public, raising funds, and putting on various programs. Starting November 1st, the page-a-day calendars are back and up for sale. EL librarians say that residents look forward to the calendars every year. With a variety of different themes, there is something for everyone. From color your year to 1,000 places to see before you die and 365 days of sports, residents will have fun just flipping through them. Calendars are $10 each. Make sure to stop in and check them out. Well, that will do it for this edition of ELCAT News Update. Be sure to watch meetings on demand at our ELCAT YouTube channel, ELCAT 01028. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All social media links are attached to our website at eastlongmeadowma.gov. And don't forget to watch us on cable channels 191, 192, and 193.
For cable channel times, make sure to check out our ELCAT program guide, available at the Town Hall, Library, and Senior Center. Also, check your mail as the programs will be delivered monthly within the reminder.
Until next time, I'm Rebecca Green.
And I'm Courtney Ingalls. Thanks for watching. See you next week.